Hello and welcome back. Something you may not have known about me is I thoroughly enjoy the Hitman World of Assassination trilogy of games. But there's more games in the Hitman franchise, many of which I haven't played. One of those games is Hitman Absolution, widely considered to be the worst Hitman game ever made. I don't really know why, I've never tried it, so today I decided, why not? Let's give it a shot, and tell you what my thoughts on this apparently terrible game are. The game starts off by telling us that Diana has gone rogue. She's stolen an ICA asset and disappeared. Us, being Agent 47, get given the contract to eliminate her. Right off the first mission, I noticed some crucial differences between this and the World of Assassination trilogy. For one, Instinct is now a bar that can run out. And that's quite frustrating because you need Instinct for almost everything, including hiding using different disguises. I'll be fair and say that this is an interesting gameplay mechanic. I see what they were going for. But I am also very grateful that they got rid of this in later entries of the franchise. One thing I noticed as I played through the tutorial here, I wasn't particularly motivated to play this game in Silent Assassin. In World of Assassination, I completed the entire game series with Silent Assassin. It was a fun challenge, it felt natural, and most importantly it felt like something 47 would have done in the moment. But this whole game kind of reminded me of the last level of Hitman 3, when you're on the train. You're not actually assassinating anyone. You're going for a mission, you have one person you want to kill, and everyone else in the way is collateral. They're bad people who've done bad things, so you kill them. And while those type of missions can be really fun, and the train level in Hitman 3 was really fun, it also was rewarding because it was kind of giving you a chance to go crazy after a whole game of being restrained. This doesn't really have that same vibe. The best way I can describe it is that Absolution feels like an action movie. And I'll elaborate on that further, but just keep that in mind as you watch. It's why I'm not playing Silent Assassin. Why I'm not methodically going through everything and planning everything out, and sometimes I just go in guns blazing. It's because it felt like the most natural thing at the time. With all that said, let's continue as I change myself into a gardener, so I can infiltrate the mansion more. Like I said, we go full action movie, slow-mo and all. After learning how to shimmy, we ruin a guy's day.
Doc, I gotta run. Duty calls, and thank you so much. You have a nice day too. Yeah, bye. Woo! Man, no one can piss on this day.
I changed my mind. This is an action movie, it's a comedy. Anyways, we get to Diana and she tells us that the asset she stole was actually a little girl that the ICA was experimenting on. As I'm sure everyone knows, experimenting on children isn't exactly liked, so 47 hangs up on the ICA director, causing him to crash out. Obviously he saves the girl, whose name is Victoria, and he learns that she underwent experiments just like he did as a child. With the contract agency with the best intelligence in the entire world hunting them down, 47 does the only logical thing. He leaves Victoria unguarded at an orphanage.
Genius. Absolutely.
We're forced to make our way through Chinatown, killing a random China mob boss for reasons that, to me, didn't seem all that clear. But once you make it through Chinatown, you get to meet up with an old friend of 47's. They never explain this friendship, how they met, or what they did together. It's fine. Just go along with it. 47's friend here is given the lovely name of Bird.
Bird.
And they call him that because he has birds. Yeah, it's not very creative. Anyways, Bird says he'll help us out, but we have to go kill some dude at a hotel. I have to get crafty with it, like choking this man out in the bathroom. But don't worry, we infiltrate this hotel. Although I do kill an innocent man in the process of turning the elevator on. We tried to choke this giant to death, but his neck's too thick for us, and he ends up throwing us through a door. Mr. Texas, who we were here to spy on or kill or whatever, recognizes us. And then shit really hits the fan. He decides to burn the entire hotel down. This leads to a pretty admittedly cool section where we're running from the police. Well, at least it starts cool. It actually ends up dragging out for way too long, but it leads to the plot point of the Texas guy deciding he's gonna also kidnap Victoria to hold her for ransom. It's about this time I began to see a glaring issue with the game's story. Stuff just happens, for seemingly no reason, and because of that, the plot is extremely forgettable. I mean, I'm only making this video at about a week after I finished playing through the game, and I've already forgotten most of the major plot points because they're all the same. Victoria's in trouble. 47 tries to protect Victoria. Then something happens and Victoria's in more trouble. They just repeat this throughout the entire game. Most of the time, I could not tell whether I was fighting the guys from the South or the ICA, because their motivation is exactly the same and they're doing the exact same thing. On top of that, the targets just don't really make sense, and they never really explain why they're the targets. They're just kind of there to move the plot forward. Anyways, after killing some ICA agents in Chinatown, it's time to go check on Victoria. She's grown deathly ill because she doesn't have her magic necklace on. Conveniently, the orphanage gets attacked just as 47 is there. It gets attacked by the Southern people who learned about the orphanage from Bird, who snitched. This leads to a very long section inside the orphanage where we're trying to protect Victoria and get some elevators turned on. In the end, Victoria ends up getting kidnapped by the Southern man's son, who definitely needs to ride the short bus, but I digress. Bird also decides to snitch a third time, now working with the ICA as well as the Southern people and as well as 47, all at the same time. After winning our guns back in a shoot-off, it's time things got real. To start, I infiltrated a town in South Dakota and stole the Southern man's son. I bring the son out into the desert to interrogate him, and I promise I did nothing bad. We just talk to him and make him tell us more about his dad, who's a very rich businessman in the South. And after getting the information about Victoria I need, I leave the man alone. I use the information he gave me to infiltrate his father's business and kill a scientist. This starts a small firefight, but I survive it using the age-old technique of camping my ass off. The scientist helps me figure out where Victoria is and also where Sanchez is, the guy with the giant neck who I tried to kill earlier. I decide to become a boxer to try to kill him. Somehow this works, as no one in this giant crowd cares that I snapped this man's neck. In the middle of taking a shower, we get attacked by some ICA agents dressed as sexy nuns. The outfits are in no way tactical, but I respect the effort to try to be unique. Obviously, we take them out really easily and tell the director of the ICA that his little minions were babies. We end up finding the Southern guy who's not too happy that we tracked him down, and for the time being, has us captured. He started asking where his son was, and I sadly had to inform him about the tragic accident he underwent where he got hit by an ice cream truck. He didn't take the news well and started violently beating us. I escaped super easy, only to find that the ICA has tracked us down and is here to kill us and the Southern people. Not my problem, however, as I decide to shoot the sheriff who helped kidnap us. The Southern man and the ICA strike a deal to exchange Victoria for a buttload of money. To stop this, we have to infiltrate the hotel where the exchange is happening. And this level is just like all the other ones. Extremely boring and repetitive. Thankfully, it didn't take me long to infiltrate the hotel penthouse and become a samurai and start shooting everyone, which nicely leads me to the Southern man where I can rescue Victoria and almost end this game. But first, we have to do the final mission where you infiltrate a graveyard and kill the ICA director, and like every other mission, once more, it's boring and repetitive. But it leads to the end of the game, where the director finally dies, and we learn that Diana wasn't really killed at the beginning of the game. She's actually alive, and she's gonna rebuild the ICA, meaning all of this was pretty much for nothing. But the game is finally over, and let's review. Listen, if you're a fan of the Hitman series and you want to experience all it has to offer, then I say buy the game. I mean, I was able to pick it up for $2 on sale on Steam, and I can't be too mad about that. But I'll also honestly say I'm probably never gonna play the game again. It just wasn't that good. I didn't enjoy it that much, and I'd much rather just play the World of Assassination trilogy. As I mentioned earlier, the gameplay is pretty repetitive and boring. I mean, I was entertained by it for the first few missions, but after the third or fourth, I was pretty much done. Instinct being a bar you have to refill is just annoying, and I mean, I get what they were going for, and it was interesting to see, but it just doesn't really work out well. And I think they really fixed it up during the World of Assassination trilogy with certain enforcers rather than everybody's able to see you. But sometimes mediocre gameplay can be excused when the game has a great story. This game does not. If you've played the World of Assassination trilogy, you know the whole general story. Almost an Illuminati type thing is running the world and a shadow client is trying to lure them out. Each target feels important, like their death and their assassination leads to something greater. Even in the first game, when you aren't told until nearly the end of the game why you're taking out these targets or why they're connected. For example, I'll use Jordan Cross from the first game. On the surface, you're taking him out because he murdered his girlfriend, but when you look at it, the real reason was to lure out Thomas Cross, the guy's father, which helps expose Providence. And that's what I mean by each assassination holds weight. I felt like here the targets just didn't really matter. They were just kind of selected at random so they could say it's a Hitman contract. But mostly all this thing was just breaking into places and infiltrating them. And there's nothing wrong with that if done properly, but it's definitely not done properly here. Like I said at the start of the video, this whole game is basically just one giant crappy action movie. And just to prove it, the Hitman movie that came out a while back is pretty much the exact same plot as Absolution. And no, that's not a good thing. I will say I'm glad David Bateson got to perform more as 47 and had more voice lines. And he said in interviews how he enjoyed making this game because he got to do way more acting in it. I just really wish the writing was better for it. IOI has said that they're going to make another Hitman game, and I do hope they give 47 more lines and David Bateson more time to shine. With all that being said, simply put, Absolution just isn't a good game. Like I said, if you're a big fan of the franchise, go ahead and try it. But if you're not, don't waste your time and don't waste your money. That's pretty much all I have to say about this game. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.